She never thought a quiet afternoon at Eagles Point Community Park would turn into a nightmare. The sound of motorcycle engines shattered the peace, and in just moments, Hannah Mitchell would find herself surrounded by the most notorious gang in 3 counties. The Red Wolves weren't known for mercy, and as their leader circled her like a predator, she could feel her heart pounding against her chest. But what these dangerous men didn't know, what nobody in town knew, was that they were about to learn the most brutal lesson of their lives. They thought Hannah Mitchell was just another single mom they could intimidate. They never imagined they'd picked the wrong target. They had threatened a Navy SEAL's sister and some mistakes. You only make one quick pause before we continue. Tell us, where in the world are you watching from? If you're enjoying these stories, make sure to hit subscribe, because tomorrow's episode is absolutely mind-blowing. The autumn breeze carries fallen leaves across Eagles Point Community Park, where the afternoon sun casts long shadows through the old oak trees. Hannah Mitchell stands near the playground equipment, her watchful eyes never leaving her children. Emily, 8, and Jason, 6. As they play with other neighborhood kids at 35. She moves with the quiet confidence of someone who has dedicated their life to nurturing others, both as a mother and as a middle school English teacher. A stack of ungraded papers rests beside her on the wooden bench. Red pen marks dotting the margins as she works. The peaceful scene reflects the typical Sunday afternoon routine she's maintained since moving to Eagles's Point 3 years ago. Other parents chat nearby, their conversations mixing with children's laughter and the rustle of wind through the trees. The first distant rumble of motorcycles seems almost innocent. Hannah's hand pauses mid-decay correction her eyes, lifting to scan the park entrance. The sound grows louder, more deliberate, carrying with it an edge of menace that makes her skin prickle. Other parents notice, too, their conversations faltering as the rumble becomes a roar. The Red Wolves appear like dark specters through the golden afternoon light, their chrome bikes gleaming. Under the sun, 7 riders, their leather cuts adorned with blood-red wolf heads, and territory patches pull into the park's parking lot in a practiced formation. Their leader, Kane Thompson, kills his engine first. The sudden silence, more threatening than the noise Hannah watches as other parents quickly gather their children. Hurrying toward their cars, she begins packing up her papers, her movements calm. Despite her racing heart, Emily, Jason, time to go. Kane dismounts his bike with practiced ease, his boots crunching on the gravel path. His second in command, Lucas Reaper. Ortiz flanks him. As they approach the playground, the remaining riders spread out, cutting off the main exits. Well. Kane's voice carries across the park, dripping with mocked curiosity. What do we have here? A teacher right from Eagles Point Middle School. Hannah stands positioning herself between the approaching bikers and the playground where her children are now rushing toward her. We were just leaving. Kane's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Now that's not very neighborly. We came all this way to have a community discussion. He gestures around the rapidly emptying park about protection. Emily and Jason reach Hannah, pressing close to her sides. She can feel their trembling, sees the fear in their eyes as they look up at the approaching men. The remaining parents hurry past, some casting apologetic glances her way, others keeping their eyes firmly on the ground. The park doesn't need protection. Hannah's voice remains steady. Her teacher's authority showing through. Please let us pass. Reaper circles around them, his movement predatory. Actually, the whole town needs protection. Been seeing a lot of trouble lately. Vandalism, theft, his eyes fix on Emily and Jason. Accidents. Hannah's arm tightens around her children. Chief Wilson handles law enforcement here if you're concerned about crime. Kane's laugh cuts her off. Chief Wilson, That old man can barely keep his eyes open at his desk. No, no. We're offering something more reliable for a reasonable fee, of course. A cold wind whips through the park, catching at the bikers' leather cuts, making the red wolf patches seem to snarl in the late afternoon light. Hannah feels Emily press closer, hiding her face against her mother's side. How much the new voice belongs to Mike Parker, the elderly park maintenance worker approaching with his cart for your protection. Kane's attention shifts his smile, widening. Mike. Right. Been working here, what, 30 years? Be a shame if something happened to all your beautiful landscaping, or maybe that knee that's been giving you trouble gets worse. Hannah sees her opening, slowly guiding her children backward a few more steps, and they can make it to the secondary path that leads to the parking lot. But Reaper notices moving to cut off their retreat. The lady asked you a question earlier, he says, voice low. About letting you pass answer is no. Not until we finish our discussion about community safety. Kane approaches Hannah directly, now close enough that she can smell leather and cigarette smoke. See, we're setting up a new arrangement in Eagles Point. Simple. Really? Everyone contributes, everyone stays safe. Schools, parks, businesses, his eyes narrow. Teachers, Hannah, mind races, calculating options. Her car is 30 yards away, but the bikers have positioned themselves carefully. Her phone is in her purse, but reaching for it would be obvious her brother James had taught her what to do in situations like this. But with her children in here, I don't make those kinds of decisions, she says, carefully. The school board. We're not talking to the school board. Can interrupts. We're talking to you about your personal contribution, your personal safety. His eyes drift to Emily and Jason. Your children's safety. The sun dips lower, casting longer shadows across the park. The playground equipment, usually full of life and laughter, stands eerily silent in the distance. A car door slams as the last family flees the scene. How much Hannah asks, buying time, remembering James's lessons about keeping threats. Talking Kane's smile widens for you. Let's say $2,000 a month educational discount. I can't afford that on a teacher's salary can't afford. Not to. Reaper adds, moving closer, times are dangerous. Kids get hurt on playgrounds all the time, cross streets, without looking, walk home from school alone. Hannah's calm begins to crack. Maternal instinct. Wearing with tactical thinking, is that a threat? Just stating facts, Khan says smoothly. But I'll tell you what, since you're new to this, first month's payment is due Friday. Give you time to arrange things after that. First of every month, the other bikers have moved closer, forming a loose circle. The setting sun glints off chrome and leather. Turning the scene apocalyptic, Hannah feels Jason's small hand grip hers tighter, sees Emily's wide eyes taking in the menacing figures. And if I refuse, Kane's pretense of friendliness vanishes, lady. Look around you. Really think you're in a position to refuse? Hannah's free hand slips into her purse, fingers finding her phone, one particular contact, a special emergency signal she's never had to use before. As she presses the button sequence James taught her, she silently prays her brother is somewhere he can respond. I need time to think about it, she says, voice steady. Despite her racing heart, you've got until Friday. Kane steps back, gesturing to his crew. We'll be watching. Don't do anything stupid like talking to Wilson. Cops get involved, deal changes. Price goes up, way up. The bikers begin backing away. Their message delivered. Kane pauses, looking back at Hannah and her children. Remember Friday. And Hannah. This was just a friendly visit. Next one won't be so pleasant. The motorcycles roar to life, the sound echoing off the empty playground equipment as they pull away. Hannah holds her children close, watching until the last bike disappears around the corner. Only then does she let out the breath she's been holding, knowing that she's just set in motion. Events that will change Eagles Point forever. What she doesn't know yet is that her brother James is already in motion. Having received her distress signal in 3 hours, he'll be here 300 mil away at a classified military training facility in Nevada. Lieutenant Commander James Mitchell stands before a group of SEAL candidates evaluating their performance in an advanced combat scenario. The desert sun beats down mercilessly as he watches the trainees navigate the complex obstacle course. His weathered face reveals nothing. Years of combat experience having taught him the value of maintaining composure under any circumstances, the distinct vibration pattern from his secure phone makes his hand twitch slightly, a signal he's only felt once before during a family emergency. He glances at the device. Seeing the distress code from Hannah, in an instant, his demeanor shifts imperceptibly. Only those who know him best would notice the subtle change in his stance. Martinez, he calls to his second-in-command. Take over. Family emergency. His voice carries the weight of command that brooks no argument even as he's already moving toward the command center inside the climate-controlled building. James pulls up his secure terminal. His fingers fly across the keyboard, accessing databases that most people don't know exist. The name Red Wolves MC appears on his screen, along with a detailed intelligence report. His jaw tightens as he reads about their recent expansion into Eagles. Point, sir. A young intelligence officer approaches cautiously. I've got Chief Wilson from Eagles Point Police Department online to James picks up the phone. His voice measured. Chief Wilson? James Mitchell? My sister Hannah? What's the situation there? The police chief's voice crackles through the line. Commander, we've been monitoring the Red Wolves movement into the area they've started approaching, local businesses. But this is the first time they've targeted individuals. Directly tell me about their leadership. Kane Thompson, ex-military dishonorable. Discharge. His second, Lucas Ortiz, goes by Reaper, has a record long enough to wallpaper my office. They've got about 20 full members. Another dozen prospects. James processes this information, already formulating plans. Any local law enforcement action we're under. Man-underfunded county task force is building a case, but it's slow-o-o. These guys are careful, Commander. They've got people inside the system not careful enough. James responds, his voice carrying a quiet certainty that makes the chief pause. They just threatened my sister. And her kids. Silence fills the line for a moment before Wilson speaks again. How fast can you get here? 3 hours, have Detective Rivera meet me at your office. She's still running point on organized crime, correct? Affirmative, James. These guys, they're not just some local troublemakers. They've got connections. Federal agencies have been sniffing around. Good, they can help clean up what's left. When I'm done. James ends, the call already moving. His phone buzzes again. A text from Hannah. They're gone, we're home. The kids are scared. His reply is simple. Stay there. 3 hours in the facility's parking lot. James throws his go-bag into his modified SUV. The vehicle looks civilian, but its capabilities are anything but standard. As he pulls out another call, comes through his secure line. Mitchell? He answers, recognizing the caller ID heard you're taking emergency leave. The voice belongs to Admiral Crawford, his former commanding officer, Red Wolves, causing trouble. You knew they were in Eagles Point. Been watching them. They're part of something bigger. Got some interesting connections we've been trying to map out. James guides the SUV onto the highway, pushing well above the speed limit. Now they're part of something personal. Thought you might say that check your email. sending you some files off the books. And James, that gang, they're not the end of the chain. They're a link to what? That's what we've been trying to figure out. Their expansion into Eagle Point wasn't random. Something's there. They want something worth risking. Federal attention for James processes this information as he drives his tactical mind, already mapping out scenarios. His phone chirps again, an encrypted message from some former teammates who owe him favors. Their responses are immediate and unanimous. They're on their way back in Eagle Point. Hannah sits in her living room, watching her children try to process the afternoon's events. Emily pretends to read a book, but hasn't turned a page in 20 minutes. Jason sits at his drawing table, repeatedly sketching what looks like black motorcycles. Her phone buzzes a message from an unknown number. Friday. Don't forget we're watching outside our house. A motorcycle cruises past slowly. Then another, the red wolves marking their territory. Sending a message. They think they're the predators establishing dominance over their prey. They don't realize they're actually marking themselves as targets in his SUV. James accesses the files from Admiral Crawford through his secure tablet surveillance photos, financial records, intelligence reports, all pointing to something bigger. The Red Wolves aren't just expanding their territory, they're preparing for something specific. His phone rings again. Detective Rivera this time. Commander Mitchell just got a report. Red Wolves are gathering at their clubhouse. Full membership call up. They're planning something. Of course they are. James replies, his voice carrying a cold certainty. They think they're sending a message establishing dominance, standard intimidation tactics. And what message are you planning to send back? James watches the desert landscape blur past his windows that they just made the biggest mistake of their lives. Have your task force ready. Things in Eagles Point are about to change. The sun begins to set as James crosses the state line in Eagles Point. The Red Wolves gather, celebrating what they think is another successful expansion of their territory. Telling and preparing this story took us a lot of time. So if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us now. Back to the story in her home. Hannah ensures her doors are locked, trying to maintain normally for her children, and across the region, several highly trained individuals begin converging on the small town, answering a call from a former teammate. The Red Wolves thought they were initiating a simple protection racket. Instead, they've triggered a sequence of events that will expose a criminal conspiracy reaching far beyond their motorcycle club. But first, they're about to learn why certain lines should never be crossed, why certain people should never be threatened. James' GPS shows 2 hours until Eagles Point. His phone buzzes with updates from his informal network satellite imagery, drone surveillance, real-time intelligence. The Red Wolves think they're hunters safely at the top of their food chain. By this time tomorrow, they'll realize they've become prey. Darkness settles over Eagles Point as James Mitchell's SUV crosses the town. Limits, the streets are quieter than usual, residents having already heard whispers about the Red Wolves' afternoon visit to the park. His GPS directs him toward Hannah's house, but movement at a local bar catches his trained eye. 3 motorcycles with distinctive Red Wolf emblems parked out front. James pulls into the shadows of a closed hardware store, his vehicle's dark color concealing it perfectly through the bars. Windows he can see 3 Red Wolves members, their leather cuts marking them as prospects. New recruits eager to prove themselves. They watching a silver sedan parked across the street. Hannah's car? They're monitoring his sister's house just as Kane promised inside Hannah's home. Emily and Jason have finally fallen asleep. Exhausted from the day's tension, Hannah sits at her kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee, when her phone lights up with a text. I'm here. Don't react to any noises you might hear. Keep the kids inside the prospect, outside Hannah's house. Never notice the shadow that moves behind them. The first one goes down silently, a precise pressure point strike rendering him unconscious before he can make a sound. The second turns just in time to see his companion collapse, but before he can shout, powerful hands lock around his throat in a blood choke. 8 seconds later, he joins his friend on the ground. The third prospect reaches for his phone, fingers trembling as he tries to dial Kane's number. A quiet voice behind him freezes him in place. "That would be a mistake," James says softly. One you might not live to regret. The prospect turns, slowly finding himself facing a man whose calm demeanor somehow terrifies him more than Kane's worst rage. Who are you?" "The woman." "You're watching the teacher. She's my sister." James's voice remains conversational, but his eyes hold something that makes the prospect take an involuntary step back. "I'm going to give you a message to deliver to Kane. Word for word. Get it wrong. And our next conversation won't be this." Pleasant 10 minutes later, the prospect's motorcycle roars toward the Red Wolves clubhouse, leaving his unconscious companions zip-tied behind the bar. James watches him go, then moves toward Hannah's house, scanning for additional surveillance teams. Hannah opens her door before he can knock, throwing her arms around her brother. The kids finally fell asleep. She whispers they've been so scared. James hugs her back, his exterior softening slightly. "Pack some bags, you're staying at a hotel tonight. I can't just leave. Trust me." James interrupts gently. "Things are about to get complicated here. I need to know you and the kids are safe while I work at the Red Wolves clubhouse." Kane Thompson sits at his private office reviewing protection payment schedules when the prospect bursts in, face pale with terror. "Boss, we got theirs?" breathed Kane orders, annoyed at the interruption. "What happened? Where are Joey and Rick?" The prospect swallows hard. "A guy, he took them down like they were nothing." Said, "I had to deliver a message, word for word." Kane's expression darkens. "What message?" he said. "You threatened the wrong family. You have 1 hour to clear out of Eagles Point. Permanently after that. I start hunting." Then he said, "To tell you he's Hannah Mitchell's brother." Kane's face shows no reaction, but his hand tightens on his desk. "Get Reaper in here now." Minutes later, Lucas Reaper Ortiz stands before Kane's desk, listening to the prospect's story, Mitchell Reaper. Muses, why does that name sound familiar? Kane types rapidly on his laptop, accessing certain databases. His face pales slightly as he reads James Mitchell, Navy SEAL. Not just any SEAL he commanded. Team 6 Operations has connections all through the Special Operations community. So what Reaper demands? We've handled military types before. Not like this. Kane's voice carries an edge of genuine concern. This guy, his record is mostly classified, the parts that aren't. He turns the laptop, so Reaper can see he's a ghost. The kind they send in when they want problems to disappear. Reaper processes. This information, his usual bravado wavering slightly. What do you want to do? Kane's jaw tightens. Call everyone in full membership. We're not running from one man, military background or not. This is our territory. Now, we show weakness here. Every other club will smell blood in the water across town. James sits in Hannah's living room monitoring police band radio through a specialized earpiece. Chief Wilson and Detective Rivera are implementing his suggestions. Quietly. Positioning units around key locations. His phone buzzes with updates from his former teammates. The in position around Eagles Point. Waiting, Hannah returns from packing bags for herself and the kids. The hotel. You're sure it's safe? Safer than here, James answers, helping her wake the children. My people are watching it. No one gets within 100 yards without us knowing. Emily stirs sleepily as Hannah lifts her Uncle James. When did you get here just in time? Princess, he says softly, picking up Jason just in time as they load the kids into Hannah's car motorcycle engines. Echo in the distance. The Red Wolves are mobilizing dozens of bikes converging on their clubhouse. They think numbers will protect them. They're wrong. James watches Hannah's tail lights disappear around the corner, then turns toward the sound of motorcycles in his earpiece. Chief Wilson's voice crackles. They're gathering full strength, at least 30 bikes. Good, James replies quietly. Let them gather, easier to deal with them all at once. He moves toward his SUV, certain that Kane has already discovered his background. The Red Wolves' leader will be feeling trapped now, too committed to run, too proud to surrender. He'll try to establish dominance. Probably tonight. The thought brings a cold smile to James's face. The Red Wolves want to play predator fine. He'll teach them what a real predator looks like. The night deepens over Eagles Point as both sides prepare for what's coming at the clubhouse. Kane rallies his men, trying to maintain control through intimidation and bravado. Throughout the town, James's former teammates move into position, a net of highly trained operators, slowly closing around their targets, and somewhere in the darkness, James Mitchell begins implementing a plan that will not only protect his family, but expose a criminal conspiracy that reaches far beyond a simple motorcycle gang. The Red Wolves thought they were apex predators in their little Pond Eagles Point police station, buzzes with unusual activity, for a Sunday night detective, Lisa Rivera, spread surveillance photos across the conference room table, while Chief Wilson brings James up to speed. The photos show Red Wolves members meeting with unknown figures at various locations across 3 counties. This goes beyond basic protection rackets. Rivera explains, pointing to a particular image. 2 months ago, we started seeing them meeting with these men, corporate types. They're interested in specific properties around Eagles. Point James studies the photos, his tactical mind cataloging details. Others might miss the man in the gray suit. He's military trained. Watch his position in the way he maintains sight lines. Chief Wilson leans forward. How can you be sure? Because I trained him, James says quietly. Marcus Blackwood, former Navy intelligence. Now he works private sector, but no one's quite sure who for. Rivera pulls up more files on her laptop. Property acquisitions have tripled in the last 6 months. Shell companies all leading back to dead ends. The Red Wolves start causing trouble. Property values drop. Then these companies swoop in and buy everything at cut-rate prices. It's not random. James concludes. Connecting patterns, they're buying specific locations. Show me a map. The detective brings up a detailed map of Eagles Point and the surrounding area. James marks each property purchase with precise dots, stepping back to study the pattern. His expression changes slightly. What do you see? Wilson asks a perimeter. James replies, they're creating a perimeter around something. The question is, what outside motorcycle engines? Roar past the station, Red Wolves making their presence known. James's phone buzzes with updates from his surveillance team. Kane's got his people moving in groups of 4. They're trying to look intimidating, but they're actually running scared. Rivera checks her own phone, just got word from ICI. The Red Wolves called in reinforcements from other chapters, could have up to 50 bikes in town by morning. They still think this is about force. James says, his voice carrying a hint of cold amusement. Kane's going to try to overwhelm us with numbers. Classic gang mentality. Chief Wilson rubs his tired eyes. We've got 15 officers total, even with county support. Numbers won't matter. James interrupts because this isn't going to be a direct confrontation. We're going to dismantle them piece by piece. He turns to Detective Rivera. Your task force has been building cases against them. What's the weakest link in their organization? Rivera shuffles through. Files. Tyler. Sketch. Matthews. Handles their money. Laundering through his construction business. He's nervous, been making mistakes. We've been watching him waiting for something solid. Get me everything you have on him, James says. And that property pattern, I need. Satellite imagery, geological surveys, anything that might explain what they're really after. His phone buzzes again. A text from Hannah. Kids are asleep. Hotel secure. Be careful. Another message follows immediately. This one from an unknown number. Watch yourself. Mitchell, you have no idea what you're stepping into. Take your sister and walk away. James shows the message to Rivera. Can you trace it? She tries, but shakes her head. Bounced through too many proxies. Whoever sent this has serious technical capabilities, not Kane's style. James muses. Someone higher up the food chain is getting nervous. Chief Wilson's radio crackles to life. A patrol officer reports Red Wolves members harassing customers at a local dining. Another call follows more bikers at a gas station across town. They're trying to provoke a response. James explains, create enough incidents that we have to spread our resources. Thin Rivera's phone rings. She listens briefly, her expression darkening. Sketch Matthews was just found in his office. Someone got to him before we could. James moves to the door. Show me 20 minutes later they stand in Matthews' construction office. The safe is open. Files scattered everywhere. Matthews sits at his desk, very much alive, but trembling. His face ashing. Tell them what you told me. Rivera prompts. Matthews swallows hard. They know about everything Kane sent Reaper, and some others said, I'd been sloppy, needed to clean things up, but it wasn't Kane. Given the orders, he was on the phone with someone who scared him. What exactly? Do they know? James asks about the properties. The pattern they know someone's been investigating. Said, they're accelerating the timeline. Something's happening tomorrow night. Something big. James shares a look with Rivera where, I don't know, I swear. But whatever it is they're bringing everyone in, full membership, all chapters within riding distance. Said. It's time to send a message. Make an example. Back at the station. James updates his team via secure channel, while Rivera and Wilson coordinate with county resources. The pieces are starting to fit together, forming a picture, bigger than anyone initially suspected. The Red Wolves are just muscle. James explains, marking new points on the map. Someone's using them, positioning them like pieces on a board. The BI question is, what's the end game? His phone buzzes with another anonymous text. Last warning, Mitchell, walk away, or what happens next is on you. James studies the message, then turns to Rivera. How fast can you get me everything on Eagle Point's geological and industrial history, every survey, every abandoned project, everything? Why? What are you thinking? Kane's not smart enough to run something this coordinated. Someone's pulling his strings, using the Red Wolves to clear the board for something bigger. We need to find out what's under Eagle's Point. That's worth all this trouble outside. More motorcycle engines echo through the night. The Red Wolves are still circling, still trying to project strength. But now, James knows. They're not the real threat. They're just a smokescreen for something far more dangerous in his earpiece. One of his teammates reports movement at the Red Wolves clubhouse. Kane and his inner circle are gearing up. Preparing for something the next few hours will determine everything the Red Wolves think they're about to send a message. Instead, they're about to expose a conspiracy that will shake Eagles Point to its foundations. The Red Wolves. Clubhouse thrums with nervous energy. As Kane Thompson paces before his assembled leadership maps of Eagles Point, cover the walls marked with territory boundaries and surveillance points. Through the windows, dozens of motorcycles fill the parking lot as members from neighboring chapters continue to arrive. One man. Kane snarls, slamming his fist on the table. You're telling me we're changing our plans because of one man? Reaper stands in the corner, his usual confidence shaken, after reviewing James Mitchell's declassified record. This isn't just some ex-military guy, Kane. The things he's done, the operations, he's LED the burner phone on Kane's desk buzzes. He answers immediately, his face hardening as he listens. Yes, sir. I understand. But with respect, my men. He falls silent, listening again. No, sir. It won't come to that. We'll handle it. He ends the call, his knuckles white around the phone. The other officers watch him, sensing his unease. Finally, Tank, their sergeant-at-arms, breaks the silence. What did he say? Timelines moved up. Everything happens tonight. No more warnings. No more intimidation. We take control of Eagles Point now. Because of Mitchell. Someone asks. Because our employers are tired of waiting. Kane snaps. They've invested too much to let one operator disrupt their plans. If we can't handle this, they'll bring in their own people. And trust me, none of us want that. The door opens as another officer enters, looking worried. Kane, we got trouble. Sketch Matthews is talking to the cops. Rivera and Mitchell just left his office. Kane's expression darkens. What did he tell them, don't know, but he accessed the files, the real ones, about what's under Eagles Point, the room. Falls silent. They all know what those files contain, what their employers are really after. Kane grabs his cut, checking his weapon. Reaper take for men. Find Matthews. Make sure he doesn't talk to anyone else. And Mitchell. I'll handle Mitchell personally. Get everyone ready, full strength. Show a force in 1 hour. We're going to remind this town why people fear the Red Wolves as the officers disperse. Kane's phone buzzes again. A text. This time. Your window is closing. Either control the situation, or we will remember what happened in Prairie Junction. Can hand trembles slightly as he deletes the message. Prairie Junction, the town where their employers had demonstrated exactly what happened to those who failed them. He turns to Reaper, who's still waiting. Call our friends at the department, tell them to lose any patrols around the south side for the next 2 hours. Then get every weapon we have out of storage. Tonight, we show Eagles Point what happens when someone challenges us across town in a darkened office building. Marcus Blackwood reviews surveillance feeds on multiple monitors. He reaches for his secure phone. Dialing a number few people possess. Sir, the situation is deteriorating. Thompson's losing control, and Mitchell, he's starting to put the pieces together. The voice that responds is cultured. Careful. James Mitchell is a complication. We didn't anticipate his connection to Eagle Point. Wasn't in any of our files. Should we proceeded with contingency measures? Not yet. Let's see how Thompson handles it if he fails. Well, that's why we have insurance policies. What's the status of the geological survey? Blackwood pulls up complex diagrams on his main screen. Confirmed. Sir, the deposits are exactly where we predicted, once we have control of the properties. We don't have control yet. The voice interrupts sharply, and until we do this, conversation never happened. Keep watching. If Mitchell becomes a serious problem, you have authorization to solve it permanently, back at the clubhouse. Kane addresses his assembled force, nearly 60 bikes strong. Now the parking lot vibrates with engine noise as riders rev their motors, creating a wall of sound meant to intimidate. Tonight we show Eagles Point. "Who really owns these streets?" Kane shouts over the noise. "Mitchell thinks he can walk in here, threaten us by morning. Everyone in town will understand exactly what happens when you cross the Red Wolves." The bikers cheer, their combined roar echoing across town. But some of the older members notice something their younger brothers miss: the edge of desperation in C's voice, the way his hands keep straining to his phone in the shadows beyond the clubhouse. Lights. A figure watches, silently recording everything. James's voice whispers into a secure C channel. Kane's mobilizing looks like every member they could call in. But something's wrong. "He's scared not of us, of whoever's really running this operation," Detective Rivera's voice responds. "James, we've found something in those geological surveys. You need to see this. It explains everything. Why they want Eagle Point, why they're willing to kill for it on my way. Keep monitoring the clubhouse. They're about to make their move." As James melts away into the darkness, Kane gives final instructions to his officers. The Red Wolves prepare to unleash chaos across Eagles Point, unaware they're being manipulated by forces far beyond their understanding. And in his expensively appointed office, Marcus Blackwood makes another call. Sir Thompson's taking the bait by morning. Eagles Point will be in chaos, and in the confusion, we'll take what we came for. The cultured voice finishes. "Just make sure Mitchell doesn't interfere. Some secrets need to stay buried." The night air fills with the thunder of motorcycles as the Red Wolves roll out their headlights, cutting through the darkness like angry eyes. They think they're about to demonstrate their power, prove their dominance. Instead, they're about to trigger events that will expose decades of secrets, corruption, and buried crimes. Eagles' Point sits on something they're willing to kill for. But first, they'll have to get through James Mitchell, and James Mitchell has never lost a battle. He chose to fight. Eagles Point Police Station transforms into a command center as Detective Rivera spreads geological surveys across the conference room table. James studies the complex diagrams, while Chief Wilson coordinates with county resources via radio. "Look at this." Rivera points to a specific Pacific area marked in red. 20 years ago, a mining company did extensive surveys of Eagle Point. They found something big enough that the government classified the results. James traces the marked areas, noticing how they align with the properties. The Red Wolves have been pressuring people to sell what kind of deposits? Rare earth elements. Rivera explains the kind crucial for advanced technology. But that's not all she pulls out. Older maps yellowed with age during World War II. The military built something here underground. Facilities. Purpose unknown. The records were buried so deep it took federal clearance just to confirm they exist. Chief Wilson's radio crackles with urgent reports. Red Wolves members are moving through town in force, their coordinated pattern suggesting military precision. This isn't normal gang behavior. Wilson observes someone is directing them. Kane's not smart enough for this. James agrees he's following someone else's playbook. His phone buzzes with updates from his surveillance team. They're heading for the industrial district, multiple groups converging on specific points. A commotion outside draws their attention through the station. Windows, they see dozens of townspeople. Gathering business owners, teachers, workers who faced Red Wolves' intimidation. Mike Parker, the park maintenance worker, leads them. "We heard what's happening," Mike announces as they enter, about the Red Wolves gathering strength. "We're not running anymore." James studies the crowd. He sees determination in their faces, people who've reached their breaking point. This isn't your fight. Like hell, it isn't Sarah Chen, owner of the local hardware store. Steps forward. They threatened. My family. Demanded protection. Money made my daughter afraid to walk to school. This is everyone's fight. Rivera checks her phone. Her expression. Grim just got word from my CI. The Red Wolves aren't just trying to scare people anymore. They're moving to take control of key locations by force if necessary. Outside motorcycle engines echo through the streets. Like war drums, the townspeople shift nervously but don't back down. James recognizes something in their stand. The same determination he's seen in civilians and war zones. People who've decided that standing together is better than living in fear. His secure phone chirps satellite imagery from his military contacts. The Red Wolves are executing a sophisticated operation, their movement suggesting professional training. They're not just gang members anymore. He observes someone's coaching them, teaching them tactical operations. But why Wilson asks, what's worth all this? Whatever's under this town. James replies, whatever's in those old military facilities. Someone wants it badly enough to turn a motorcycle gang into a private army. The station's lights flicker suddenly, then stabilize. Similar reports start coming in from across town. Power fluctuations, communications, disruptions. They're testing our infrastructure. James realizes, probing for weaknesses. Mike Parker clears his throat. Those underground facilities, I think I might know something been maintaining these parks for 30 years, sometimes late at night. You hear things. Machinery deep underground, and there are places where nothing grows, no matter what. You plant, James's team reports, more Red Wolves arriving, nearly 80 bikes now. But something else catches their attention. Unmarked. Vans moving into position around town, their occupants wearing tactical gear. Not just the Red Wolves anymore. James tells Rivera quietly, professional operators moving in. Whatever's happening. It's starting now. The townspeople organize themselves, sharing information about Red Wolves' movements, coordinating through social media. Sarah Chen's hardware store becomes an impromptu supply center. Mike Parker's maintenance crews provide detailed information about town infrastructure. James watches this organic resistance forming, recognizing the power of community uniting against a threat. His phone buzzes again. Hannah checking in from the hotel. The kids are asking questions. She texts. They want to know when they can come home soon. He replies, knowing the next few hours will determine everything. Chief Wilson's radio comes alive with reports of Red Wolves forcing businesses to close, setting up checkpoints on major streets. They're trying to control movement through the town, establish dominance. They're creating a distraction. James explains to the assembled crowd, making noise, drawing attention, while something else happens in the shadows. Rivera's laptop pings with an alert. She's been monitoring financial transactions, watching for patterns, large equipment being moved into town, under cover of darkness, deep drilling gear, ground-penetrating radar. They're not just after the mineral deposits. James realizes they're looking for something specific. In those old military facilities. Something worth killing for the town's people. Listen as James outlines what's coming. He sees no fear in their faces now, only resolve. These are people defending their home, their families, their way of life. C thinks numbers will win this fight. James tells them he's wrong. Community beats force every time, but what's coming isn't just about the Red Wolves anymore. Someone powerful wants what's under Eagle's Point. And they don't care who gets hurt in the process. Outside, more motorcycles roar past the station. But now, instead of cowering, The townspeople watch with calculated interest, noting numbers, directions, patterns. They're no longer victims waiting to be saved. They're becoming participants in their own defense. James's phone lights up with another anonymous message. You're interfering with something you don't understand. Mitchell, some secrets should stay buried. He shows the message to Rivera. Whatever's down there, they're willing to destroy the town. To get it question is, are we willing to fight to stop them? The gathered citizens of Eagles Point shared determined looks. Sarah Chen speaks for all of them. This is our home. They want to fight. Let's give them one. They'll never forget the industrial district of Eagles Point lies shrouded in shadow as James Mitchell moves silently between abandoned warehouses. Through his tactical earpiece, he monitors Red Wolves' communications. They're executing a coordinated sweep of the area, searching for something specific. Kane's voice crackles through intercepted channels secure the perimeter. No one gets near Site B without clearance. Reaper status on the drilling equipment 10 minutes out. Reaper responds, but we've got problems. Local resistance at checkpoints. They're organized. Kane. Someone's coordinating them. James watches from his concealed position as 3 unmarked vans pull into a fenced compound. Men in tactical gear emerge, their movement betraying professional military training. These aren't gang members. They're mercenaries. His secure phone vibrates. Detective Rivera's message is urgent. James, we found something in the old military files in 1945. They were working on something here. Something they called Project Echo. Whatever it was, they buried it deep. When the war ended, the sound of heavy machinery approaching drawn his attention. A massive drilling rig, escorted by Red Wolves' bikes, moves through the darkened streets. But James notices something odd. The rig's configuration isn't meant for mineral extraction. They're not mining, he whispers into his C. This is a recovery operation. Suddenly, gunfire erupts from the north side of the district through his night vision. James sees Sarah Chan's brother, a former Marine, leading a group of veterans in a diversionary attack. The Red Wolves respond with overwhelming force, but the locals melt away into pre-planned escape routes. Kane's voice comes through again, edged with panic. Sir, the locals are hitting our positions. We need. He's cut off by a cultured voice. James recognizes as Marcus Blackwood. Control your people. Thompson, you have 1 hour to secure Site B. After that, my team takes over completely. James moves closer to the compound, noting security positions. Fields of fire. His team reports similar resistance activities across town, coordinated harassment, keeping the Red Wolves off balance. The townspeople are fighting smarter, not harder inside the compound. The drilling rig powers up its deep bass vibration, resonates through the ground as specialized equipment begins scanning the earth beneath. James catches fragments of technical conversation, signal matching project, echo frequencies, containment protocols. His phone buzzes again. Chief Wilson. This time, James, you need to see this. Old-timers are coming forward back in 45. There were stories, lights in the sky, strange sounds from underground people who went missing before James can respond. A new player enters the scene. A black SUV with diplomatic plates glides into the compound through his scope. James recognizes the passenger, a figure from classified briefings, someone whose very existence is denied by multiple governments. Rivera, he whispers into his C, we've got shadow players on site. This goes higher than we thought. The drilling intensifies as specialized sensors deploy. James intercepts fragments of data radiation readings, magnetic anomalies. Whatever is buried here, it's still active after all these years. Suddenly, all hell breaks loose. The diversionary attacks have drawn too much attention. Kane orders a full response, sending Red Wolves flooding into residential areas, But the townspeople are ready. Years of resentment explode into coordinated resistance. Sarah Chen's hardware store becomes a fortress. Mike Parker's maintenance crews use their knowledge of town infrastructure to disrupt Red Wolves' movements. Even Hannah's students' parents organize, protecting their neighborhoods with improvised blockades. James watches C, struggling to maintain control as his forces are stretched thin. But the real action is happening in the compound. The drilling has reached something. Alarms blare as instruments. Spike off their scales package located. A technician announces beginning extraction protocol. That's when James makes his move. While Kane's attention is divided between the town's resistance and Blackwood's pressure, while the mercenaries focus on their mysterious excavation, he infiltrates the compound's security perimeter. What he finds in their computer systems confirms his worst fears. Project Echo wasn't just a military experiment. It was something else entirely. Something that could explain decades of conspiracy, of covered-up incidents, of why certain powers would risk everything to reclaim it. His secured channel crackles with urgent updates. The Red Wolves are starting to crack. Under pressure, some members recognizing they're in over their heads are breaking ranks. Others, driven by C's increasingly desperate orders, escalate their violence through it all. The drilling continues. Whatever's down there, they're almost at it. And James has a sinking feeling that bringing it to the surface will change everything. His phone lights up with another anonymous message. You can't stop this. Mitchell, what's buried there? It was never meant to stay hidden forever. Some doors, once opened, can't be closed again. The ground trembles as the drilling reaches its target depth, and the compound's command center monitors flash with strange readings. Even the mercenaries look uneasy as their instruments detect something that shouldn't be possible. Kane's voice comes through again now, edged with real fear. Sir, we're losing control. The town, they're fighting back everywhere we need. Control is no longer your concern. Mr. Thompson. Blackwood interrupts smoothly. My team will handle things from here. Your services are no longer required. James watches through his scope as Kane realizes he's been played. The Red Wolves were never anything but a disposable tool meant to create chaos and clear the way for what's really happening. But now the town is fighting back. The Red Wolves are fracturing, and whatever's buried beneath Eagles Point is about to see the light of day. For the first time in nearly 80 years, Detective Rivera hunches over her laptop in the makeshift command center as decoded military files from 1945 scroll across her screen. Outside, the sounds of conflict echo through Eagles Point streets as citizens continue their resistance against the Red Wolves project. Echo wasn't just a military installation, she reports, through her secure line to James. It was a research facility. They were studying something they found during mining operations, something that defied their understanding of physics. James's voice crackles background noise, suggesting he's still moving through the industrial complex, the drilling equipment they're using. It's not standard. The readings they're getting, I've never seen anything like it. Chief Wilson bursts into the room. His face. Grimm just got word from state police. All communications in and out of Eagles Point are being jammed. Professional equipment, military grade through the station. Windows they watch as unmarked helicopters circle the town's perimeter. No markings, no identification. The kind of aircraft that officially don't exist. Rivera's computer pings with an incoming data packet. James has managed to hack into the compound's secure network. Technical readouts and sensor data flutter screen along with fragments of classified communications. Sir, a technician's voice comes through. The artifact is showing signs of activation. Energy signatures are off the charts. Blackwood's cultured tones respond with urgency. increased power to the containment field. We can't risk a repeat of Prairie Junction. James's voice cuts through the feed. Rivera cross-reference. Prairie Junction. What happened there? Her fingers fly across the keyboard, breaking through layers of classification. Small town in Nevada. 1998. Official records show it was abandoned after a chemical spill. But these readings, they're identical to what we're seeing now. Kane's increasingly desperate voice interrupts the technical chatter. Blackwood, my men are taking heavy casualties. The locals, they're everywhere. We need backup. Your men are no longer my concern. Mr. Thompson. Blackwood replies coldly. The artifact is preparing to emerge. Nothing else matters. Now in the industrial complex, James observes the drilling operation through his tactical scope. The equipment has reached its target depth, but something's wrong. The sensors are showing energy patterns that shouldn't be possible. Readings that violate known laws of physics. His secure phone lights up with a message from one of his former SEAL teammates. James, we've got company. 3 black SUVs just crossed the town line. These guys, they're agency. The kind that make other agency guys nervous. Rivera's voice comes through his earpiece. Tension evident. James, I found something in the Project Echo files in 1945. They weren't just studying what they found. They were trying to contain it. The facility wasn't built to keep people out. It was built to keep something in the ground. Trembles as the drilling reaches a new phase. Strange lights pulse from deep underground, casting alien shadows across the compound. Even the hardened mercenaries look uneasy as their instruments register impossibilities. Package is secured. A technician announces beginning extraction sequence. But something's wrong. The energy readings are spiking, beyond predicted levels. Warning alarms blare across multiple frequencies, sir. Another technician calls out, panic edging into his professional tone. The artifact. It's not just active, it's responding to something. Blackwood moves to the monitoring station, his composure cracking slightly. Responding to what to us, sir? It's like, it knows we're here. James watches through his scope as chaos erupts in the compound. The drilling equipment's safety protocols engage automatically, but the strange lights continue to pulse, growing stronger. He can feel it now, a vibration in his bones that has nothing to do with machinery. His phone buzzes with another anonymous message. You need to stop them. Mitchell, what they're about to unleash, there are things mankind isn't ready to face. Some doors should stay closed in town. The battle between citizens and red wolves suddenly pauses as everyone feels the unnatural. Tremors Kane's voice comes through the intercepted channels, now truly afraid. What is? That the real reason we're here? Blackwood responds, his cultured voice tight with anticipation. Prepare for final extraction. Once we have the artifact, burn everything. No witnesses, no evidence. Eagles Point becomes another Prairie Junction. Chief, Wilson's radio crackles with urgent reports. The strange lights are visible from across town, now pulsing in patterns that hurt the eyes to watch. People are reporting headaches. Nosebleeds, a sense of pressure that has nothing to do with altitude. James Rivera's voice shakes slightly. These readings, they're exponentially higher than Prairie Junction. If what happened there happens here, she doesn't finish the thought. She doesn't have to. James remembers the classified files about Prairie Junction, the town that ceased to exist in a single night, its population vanishing without a trace through his scope. He watches. Blackwood directing the operation with increasing urgency. The mercenaries are setting explosive charges, preparing to erase all evidence of their work. The Red Wolves, now realizing their disposable pawns, begin to turn on their employers. But none of that matters compared to what's happening underground. The artifact, whatever it is awake, and it remembers the men who buried it. 80 years ago, as the night deepens over Eagles Point, James Mitchell realizes he's no longer just fighting to save his sister's town. He's fighting to prevent something from emerging that was never meant to see the light of day. The real question is he already too late? Kane Thompson stands in the Red Wolves clubhouse, watching his empire crumble. In real time, the security monitors show chaos across Eagles Point. His men engaging in scattered battles with surprisingly organized citizens, while strange lights pulse from the industrial district. This wasn't the deal. Reaper growls, throwing his burner phone against the wall. They're cutting us out, Kane setting us up to take the fall when whatever's happening over there goes bad. The clubhouse vibrates with another unnatural tremor. Through the windows, they can see the pulsing lights growing stronger, casting impossible shadows across the night sky. Half their members are already gone, either arrested by the increasingly bold police or simply riding away from something they never signed up for. Kane's personal phone rings, Blackwood's number. He answers on speaker, his knuckles white around the device. "Our men are dying out there. You promised us." "I promised nothing." Blackwood interrupts smoothly. "You were a means to an end. Mr. Thompson, a convenient distraction while we completed our real work. Your usefulness has expired before Kay can respond." The clubhouse door bursts open. Tank, their sergeant-at-arms, stumbles in bleeding Kane. The feds, they're here. Real ones, FBI, DEA agencies I don't even recognize. They're rolling up our operations across 3 states. Reaper moves to the window, watching more red wolves. Bikes roar away into the night. They played us. Kane, all that talk about territory, about making us stronger. They just needed us to keep people scared while they dug up whatever's making those lights. Another tremor rocks. The building's stronger this time. The lights flicker, and for a moment everyone sees their shadows cast multiple ways. Defying physics, Tank wipes blood from his face, looking genuinely afraid for the first time in years. What did they make us part of? Kane. What's really happening over there? Kane's phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "Last chance. Get your men out of Eagles Point now, or share their fate through their security feeds." They watched James Mitchell moving through the industrial district like a ghost. 3 of their best riders tried to stop him. All 3 are now being loaded into ambulances alive but thoroughly defeated. Sir, a prospect rushes in. Mitchell's people, they're everywhere. Ex-military special forces. They're taking apart our operations piece by piece. And the townspeople, they're not running anymore. They're fighting back. Reaper throws his cut onto Kane's desk. "I didn't sign up for this strange lights shadow government operations spec. Ops warriors. This isn't what the Red Wolves are about. You don't walk away." C snarls, but his authority is crumbling. Another tremor shakes the building, and this time they can hear something else. A deep resonance sound that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. At once, their radio crackles with panicked reports from the remaining Red Wolves still in town. The strange lights are affecting their bikes' electronics. Men are reporting headaches, nosebleeds, confusion. Some claim to be seeing impossible things in the growing light. Kane Tank says quietly, "Whatever's happening, we need to run now." But Kane doesn't move. He stares at the security feeds, watching his carefully built criminal empire dissolve in real-time. Years of building the Red Wolves into a force to be reckoned with, all undone in a single night. His phone rings again. Not Blackwood this time, but someone higher up. Someone whose voice makes even Kane's hardened soul go cold. "Mr. Thompson," the cultured voice says, "I'm afraid we're initiating cleanup protocols. Nothing personal. You understand, just loose ends being tied up through the windows. They see unmarked vans moving into position around the clubhouse. Professional operators and tactical gear deploy with military precision. What are you doing?" Kane demands. But he already knows the Red Wolves have served their purpose now. Like Prairie Junction Eagle, Point needs to become another classified footnote. No witnesses, no evidence, no loose ends. The line goes dead as the first flashbangs crash through the clubhouse windows. Reaper and Tank dive for cover. But Kane stands, frozen, finally understanding they were never partners in this operation. They were never going to share in the power and profits. They were just another expendable resource meant to be disposed of when no longer needed as tear gas begins filling the clubhouse. Kane makes his final decision. He grabs a specific hard drive, one containing everything he knows about Project Echo, about Blackwood's operation, about the real power players behind it all. "Mitchell," he says into his phone, calling a number he never thought he'd use, "we need to talk. There's something you need to know about what's really buried under Eagles Point." The strange lights pulse brighter, and that impossible sound grows stronger. In the industrial district, Blackwood's operation reaches its final phase, and throughout Eagles Point, shadows begin moving in ways that shadows shouldn't. Kane Thompson, leader of the Red Wolves, has finally realized his true position in this game. Now he has to decide, die with his secrets, or help stop something that should never have been disturbed. James Mitchell meets Kane Thompson in an abandoned warehouse 3 blocks from the drilling site. The Red Wolves' leader looks nothing like the confident criminal boss of a few hours ago. His cut is torn, his face bloody from the tactical team's assault on his clubhouse. "Everything we thought we were doing." Kane says, connecting his hard drive to Rivera's laptop, "It was all a lie. The protection rackets, the property pressure, they needed us to create chaos, keep people scared while they mapped what's down there." The warehouse trembles as another pulse emanates from the drilling site. The strange lights have taken on a rhythmic pattern now, like a heartbeat growing stronger. "Show me," James demands. Kane pulls up files, geological surveys, energy readings, classified military reports. Project Echo didn't find something in 1945. Something found them. The mining operation. They broke through into something older. Something that wasn't built by human hands. Detective Rivera's voice comes through James's earpiece. "James. The energy readings from the drill site. They're identical to patterns recorded in ancient sites around the world. Places where people reported strange lights, unexplained phenomena through the warehouse windows. They watch Blackwood's operation reaching its climax. The drilling platform is surrounded by a nimbus of impossible light-casting shadows that move independent of any source. Prairie Junction." Kane continues his voice, shaking. It wasn't the first town they sacrificed to keep this quiet. There were others, places that disappeared overnight. Populations, relocated memories, altered. They've been protecting the secret for decades. James studies the files, his tactical mind processing implications. They're not just trying to recover it. They're trying to wake it up worse. Kane pulls up another document. This one showing energy patterns across time. It's already awake. Has been since we started drilling, everything happening. Now it's reaching out, calling for something. The warehouse lights flicker as another pulse rocks. Eagles Point outside, they can hear sirens, gunfire, the sounds of continued resistance against the remaining Red Wolves. But all of that seems insignificant compared to what's happening at the drill site, sir. One of James's surveillance team reports through the comms, the artifact. They've got it, some kind of containment vessel, but the readings, nothing should be putting out. That kind of energy. Blackwood's voice carries through their intercepted communications containment protocols at maximum. Begin extraction sequence. Once we have the artifacts secure, initiate cleanup procedures. Eagles Point goes dark in 30 minutes. Kane looks at James, real fear in his eyes. You don't understand what they're going to do. Prairie Junction, they used something, some kind of weapon that erases everything. Not just lives, memories, records, digital footprints. The town never existed. The ground shakes more violently now. Through the windows, they can see military helicopters moving into position around town, not just unmarked ones. Now these bear symbols that James recognizes from his darkest operations units that handle problems that can never see the light of day. James Rivera's voice is urgent. Can's right. I found references to something called Protocol Zero, Total Information Eraser. They're going to her voice cuts off as all communications suddenly die. The lights go out across Eagles Point, plunging the town into darkness. Only the pulsing glow from the drill site remains, casting its unnatural illumination across the night sky. It's starting sea whispers just like Prairie Junction. But James is already moving his team reports in through backup channels. The townspeople are still fighting, refusing to surrender their homes, even as reality itself seems to waver around them. Kane grabs his arm. You can't stop them once. Protocol Zero begins. Watch me, James. Cuts him off. Rally your remaining men. Anyone still loyal. We've got 30 minutes to prevent a massacre. And what about that? C points toward the drill site where the lights pulse stronger, casting shadows that seem to reach toward them with impossible geometries. One problem at a time. James responds, checking his weapons. First we save the town. Then we deal with whatever they woke up down there. His phone lights up with a final message from their anonymous contact. You have no idea what you're trying to stop, Mitchell. Some doors once opened change everything. Eagles Point was chosen for a reason. What sleeps beneath it? It's been waiting a very long time to wake up. The night air fills with the sound of heavy machinery and military aircraft. Blackwood's operation enters its final phase as Protocol Zero begins. And somewhere in the pulsing light, something ancient stirs, something that remembers the last time humans tried to unlock it, secrets the clock is ticking for Eagles Point. James Mitchell has 30 minutes to prevent not just the death of a town, but its complete erasure from history. And with every passing second, the lights pulse stronger, the shadows grow longer, and reality itself begins to bend around the thing they've awakened. The real question is, even if they stop, Protocol Zero, can they stop what's already been set in motion? Some secret are buried for a reason. Some doors once opened can never be closed again. Eagles Point, police station becomes a fortress of resistance. As townspeople gather in defiance of the military quarantine, Sarah Chen distributes emergency supplies, while Mike Parker's maintenance crews rewire the backup generators. The town may have lost main power, but they refuse to go dark. Chief Wilson coordinates with his remaining officers as Detective Rivera works to restore communications through the windows. They can see the strange lights pulsing stronger, casting shadows that twist in impossible ways. 25 minutes until Protocol Zero. James announces entering with Kane, the Red Wolves. Leader's presence causes tension until he speaks everything you've heard about us. Everything we did, we were used. But right now, that doesn't matter what's coming for Eagles Point. It's worse than anything you can imagine, the building. Shakes as another pulse emanates from the drill site outside. Military helicopters circle, lower their spotlights, sweeping the streets. James's surveillance team reports through backup channels. Blackwood's men are moving systematically through town, placing devices at key locations, pattern matches, Prairie Junction. Rivera confirms studying salvaged data. They're creating a containment grid once it's active protocol. Zero begins total information. Eraser through the station's reinforced windows. They watch as unmarked vans deploy more tactical teams. But something's wrong with their movements. Jerky, uncertain as if they're fighting against the strange forces emanating from the drilling site. The artifact Kane explains, pointing to energy readings on Rivera's laptop. It's affecting them. Affecting everything. The longer it stays exposed, the worse it gets. Sarah Chen steps forward, her hardware store keys in hand. My basement. It was a fallout shelter in the Cold War. Deep concrete steel reinforcement could help protect people when whatever's coming hits the school. 2. Hannah's voice comes through James's emergency radio. She's still at the hotel with her kids, but refuses to stay silent. The old bomb shelter under the gymnasium, it's still maintained. James studies the town map, marking potential shelter locations. But Kane shakes his head. You don't understand protocol. Zero isn't just bombs or gas, it's something else. Something they developed after studying what they found down there. It doesn't just kill, it erases everything. The lights flicker as another pulse rocks the town. Through the windows, they can see people staggering, holding their heads. The artifact's influence grows stronger with each passing minute. So one of James's team reports, urgently, the containment grid. It's powering up energy signatures, unlike anything we've seen, and the artifact. It's responding. Blackwood's voice cuts through their emergency frequencies. Final warning to all Eagles. Point residents. Return to your homes immediately. What happens next? There will be no evacuation, no witnesses, no record. But the people gathered in the police station stand firm. Sarah Chen's brother organizes other veterans into defensive positions. Mike Parker's crews work to restore emergency communications. Even the remaining Red Wolves, following Kane's lead, prepare to defend the town they once terrorized. James Rivera calls out, "Look at this! The artifact's energy pattern. It's not random. It's building towards something. Like it's trying to synchronize with the containment grid." Through the windows, they watch as the strange lights begin to pulse in rhythm with the devices. Blackwood's men have planted. Reality itself seems to waver, like heat waves rising from hot asphalt. They think they're containing it. Kane realizes, but they're actually helping it. Everything they're doing, it's exactly what it wants. James's phone lights up with a final warning. Mitchell, you need to run what's about to happen. There are forces beyond your understanding at work here. Forces that have waited centuries to finish what began in 1945. But James Mitchell has never run from a fight. He looks at the gathered towns, people former enemies standing together, a community united against an impossible threat. His sister's town refusing to be erased. Listen up, he addresses the crowd. What's coming? We may not fully understand it, but this is our home, and whatever's down there, whatever they woke up, it doesn't know what humans are capable of. When we stand together, the ground trembles as Protocol Zero enters its final phase. Military aircraft move into attack positions. The containment grid pulses with otherworldly energy, and beneath Eagle's Point, something ancient stirs, something that remembers its last encounter with humanity. Something that has been waiting decades to wake up, but this time it faces more than just military might or scientific curiosity. It faces a community willing to fight for their very existence, and at their head stands a man who has never lost a battle. He chose to fight. The final countdown to Protocol 0 begins, but Eagles Point refuses to go quietly into the night inside the drilling compound. Marcus Blackwood studies monitors displaying impossible readings as the artifact pulses within its containment vessel. The once pristine command center now feels like the edge of reality. Shadows move without light sources and instruments record data that defies physics. Sir, a technician calls out, his voice shaking the artifact's energy signature. It's not just growing stronger, it's changing frequency to match the containment grid like it's learning through the reinforced windows. They watch as military units establish a perimeter. The night sky above Eagles Point ripples with a rural phenomena that shouldn't be possible. At this latitude, Blackwood's phone rings, a call he's been dreading. The town refuses to evacuate. He reports Mitchell's organized them. Even the Red Wolves have turned the cultured voice, responds with cold precision. Then they share Eagle Points, fate, protocol. 0 doesn't distinguish between targets. Everything within the containment grid will be adjusted in the police station. Command Center James and Kane review the hard drive's contents with Detective Rivera. The truth about Eagles Point unfolds before them. Decades of conspiracy leading to this moment. Look at these shell companies. Rivera points to financial records. They've been buying land around similar sites, worldwide places, with the same geological anomalies as Eagles. Point, not geological. Kane corrects. Pulling up classified surveys, the readings. They're not natural. These sites form a pattern. Eagles Point is just one node in a larger network. The building shakes as another pulse emanates from the artifact through their windows. They watch as reality seems to fold in on itself. Streetlights cast multiple shadows, and the air itself appears to ripple like disturbed water. James Rivera calls urgently. These files. The Red Wolves weren't Blackwood's first attempt. They've been using criminal organizations for years, setting up operations around similar sites. When they're done, the gangs take the fall. Kane finishes perfect scapegoats for whenever things go wrong. Just like Prairie Junction James is surveillance team reports and the containment grid is nearly complete. Military units have surrounded the town, but their movements are becoming erratic. The artifact's influence affects everyone differently. Some freeze, some panic. Some seem to see things that aren't there, sir. One of James's former SEAL teammates radios. We've got movement at the drill site. They're loading the artifact into some kind of transport vehicle, but something's wrong. The containment vessel. It's changing through their monitoring equipment. They watch as the containment vessel housing the artifact begins to transform. What was once sleek military hardware now seems to ripple and flow its surface, taking on patterns that hurt the eyes to look at. It's not just affecting electronics anymore. Rivera observes studying sensor data. It's affecting physical matter, rewriting reality at the molecular level, pulls up more classified files, reports from previous sites incidents, covered up by convenient accidents or criminal activities. This is bigger than we thought. Eagles Point. It's not just another site. It's the key to something they've been working toward for decades. James's phone lights up with a message from their anonymous contact. The artifact isn't just an object, it's a key to doors that were closed for a reason. What sleeps beneath Eagles Point? It's been waiting for someone to turn that key through the station windows. They watch as more military units arrive, not just unmarked units now, but specialist teams in distinctive protective gear. The kind of units called in when normal containment protocols aren't enough. 15 minutes to protocol. 0. Rivera announces checking the countdown, but something's changing. The artifact's pulsing rhythm shifts, becoming more complex. The containment grid responds, its energy patterns shifting to match like two systems learning to synchronize. They think they're controlling it. Kane realizes, studying the patterns, but look at the wavelength harmonics. It's not just matching their containment field, it's reshaping it. Everything they built to contain it, they're actually helping it break free. James moves to the window, watching as reality itself seems to waver around the drill site. The truth about Eagles Point's criminal empire was never about drugs or protection rackets. It was about preparing the ground for something else, something that's been waiting since 1945 to finish what it started. His phone buzzes. One last time. Blackwood himself. You don't understand what's really happening. Mitchell! What's buried there? It's been influencing us for decades. Everything we did, every crime we covered up, every gang we manipulated, it was all leading to this moment. The night air fills with impossible colors as Protocol Zero enters its final phase. But as the containment grid powers up, as military units move into position, as reality itself begins to bend around the artifact's influence, one truth becomes clear. The criminal empire they uncovered was never the real threat. It was just the precursor to something far more dangerous. And now, with 5 minutes until Protocol Zero, James Mitchell must decide: try to save the town or stop what's about to be unleashed. James Mitchell gathers his makeshift force in the police station's main room. Former SEALs, local veterans, reformed Red Wolves, and determined towns. People outside reality continues to warp around the artifact's influence. As military units move into final positions, the containment grid isn't just for Protocol Zero. James explains, pointing to the town map where Kane has marked the device locations. It's creating a resonance pattern. Look at the placement. It's an amplification array. Rivera's laptop displays the latest sensor readings. The artifact's energy signature has evolved, becoming more complex with each pulse, the pattern. She realizes, studying the data, it's not random. It's a sequence repeating, but evolving like a key turning in a lock. Kane adds, his face pale as he watches shadows crawl across walls in impossible ways. Everything they built to contain it. They're actually completing a circuit, finishing what started in 1945. James's surveillance team reports in through backup channels. The artifact's transport vehicle has stopped moving, positioned EX exactly at the center of the containment grid even. Blackwood's professional mercenaries show signs of strain. Now their movements becoming jerky and uncertain as reality bends around them. Sir? A former SEAL radios the military units. They're not just setting up a perimeter, they're placing some kind of devices different from the containment grid deeper. Tech through their monitoring equipment, they watch us specialized teams deploy what look like quantum field generators, bleeding-edge technology that shouldn't exist outside theoretical physics. Labs fail safes. James realizes, in case Protocol Zero doesn't work, they're preparing to collapse the entire quantum field around Eagles Point, erase it from existence itself. Sarah Chen steps forward, her hardware store keys in hand. The old mining tunnels, they run under the entire containment grid. My grandfather helped dig them. Some aren't on any official maps. Mike Parker nods, pulling out his maintenance records. The utility tunnels connect to them. We've been using them for years to maintain infrastructure. They're deep enough to bypass their security. James studies the underground network, his tactical mind already forming a plan. Kane, your men know these tunnels use them for smuggling. Every route Kane confirms, including ones that lead right under the drill site. The building shakes as another pulse emanates from the artifact. Through the windows, they watch military helicopters struggle to maintain position as spatial distortions ripple through the air. The containment grid pulses in response, its energy pattern shifting to match the artifact's frequency. 3 minutes to Protocol 0. Rivera announces James outlines his plan. Quickly, Sarah's brother will lead one team through the mining tunnels, disrupting the containment grid's power supply. Mike's maintenance crews will guide another group through utility tunnels to sabotage the quantum field generators. Kane's remaining loyal Red Wolves will create diversions, drawing attention from the real attack and the artifact. Rivera asks, "That's my target." James responds, "Kane, you're with me. You've seen this thing before, know how it affects people. I need your intel through their monitors. They watch Blackwood directing final preparations. The transport vehicle containing the artifact has begun to change its metal surface, flowing like liquid, taking on patterns that shouldn't be possible in normal space-time," James Rivera calls urgently. "These readings, the artifact isn't just affecting our reality. It's creating a bridge. These energy signatures match theoretical models for dimensional barriers, sea finishes. That's what they found in 1945, not just an object, a doorway. And now they're helping it open again." James's phone lights up one final time, their anonymous contact. The door swings both ways. "Mitchell!" What they found in 1945. It found them first been calling to us ever since, influencing events, preparing for this moment. Stop them, or what comes through changes. Everything outside the military perimeter tightens as Protocol 0 enters. Its final phase, the containment grid hums with impossible energy as the artifact's pulses grow stronger, more purposeful. Reality itself seems to hold its breath, waiting for what comes next. 1 minute. Rivera announces. James looks at his gathered force. Enemies turned allies, a community, united against forces beyond human understanding. Whatever happens, whatever comes through that door, we hold the line. Eagles Point doesn't just disappear. Not tonight. They move out quickly, each team heading for their assigned tunnels as James and C prepare to infiltrate the drill site. Hannah's voice comes through their emergency radio. James, the kids, they're seeing things when at the hotel. Something's happening to people's minds. Hold on. James promises just a little longer. The night air ripples with otherworldly energy as Protocol 0 begins its countdown. But beneath Eagles, Point's streets, through tunnels that don't appear on any official maps, a different kind of operation begins. Protocol 0's countdown reaches 45 seconds as James and Kane descend into Eagles Point's underground maze above them. Reality continues to warp. As the artifact's influence grows stronger through their tactical CS, they coordinate with other teams moving through the tunnel. Network first team in position. Sarah's brother reports from the eastern tunnels. His veterans have reached the containment grid's primary power junction. "You won't believe what we're seeing down here? The walls, they're changing?" Mike Parker's voice crackles through next. M maintenance access reached, but something's wrong. The utility tunnels, they're not laid out. Like our maps show. It's like they shifting. James and Kane move silently through older tunnels, ones that haven't appeared on any map since 1945. Their flashlight beams reveal strange patterns etched into the rock. Not carved by human hands, but somehow growing from the stone itself. The artifacts influence Kane. Whispers, his voice tight. It's stronger down here, closer to its source above ground. Detective Rivera coordinates from the command center, monitoring multiple feeds, as reality continues to destabilize. 30 seconds to Protocol 0 military units are activating quantum field generators there. James, these readings are impossible through their helmet cameras. James's team S, as the tunnel walls seem to breathe geometric patterns flowing like liquid across ancient rock. Their instruments spin wildly. Compass needles rotating without pattern, electronic equipment displaying impossible data. "We're under the drill site," James announces as they reach a massive chamber. What they find stops them cold. The walls are covered in the same patterns they saw above, but here, they're active, pulsing with internal light, forming and reforming in sequences that hurt the mind to watch. My God, sea breathes, they didn't build this. This was always here, the mining operation in 45. They just found it. Rivera's voice cuts through their awe. James, the artifact's energy signature just spiked. Whatever's happening. It's starting in the eastern tunnels. Sarah's brother and his team reach their target. The containment grids, power systems run through junction boxes that look wrong. Somehow. Military hardware merged with something older. Something alien charges set. He reports. But sir, the equipment, it's not just connected to their power grid. Something else is feeding it. Something down here. Mike Parker's maintenance crews report. Similar findings. The quantum field generators draw power from conventional sources, but they're also tapping into something else. Energy patterns that predate human civilization. 15 seconds. Rivera announces. James and Kane emerge from the tunnel into a vast underground space that shouldn't exist. The chamber extends far beyond their light's reach, its architecture following laws of geometry that feel wrong to human eyes, and at its center, that's where they found it. Kane says quietly, "The first artifact. But look at the walls, the patterns. This whole chamber. It's like a machine, a device built to a massive pulse of energy." Cuts him off as the artifact above synchronizes with the containment grid. The patterns covering the chamber walls flare to life, filling the space with impossible light. Reality itself seems to flex and bend. All teams, James commands, execute now multiple explosions, rock eagle points. Understructure as Sarah's brother's team, date 8s, their charges. The containment grid's power fluctuates but doesn't fail. Instead, the alien patterns in the rock walls pulse brighter, feeding it. Energy Mike's crews trigger their sabotage of the quantum field generators, but the effect isn't what they expected. The generators don't shut down. They begin resonating with the artifact's frequency, adding their power to whatever's awakening. James Rivera's voice shakes with urgency. The containment grid, the generators. They're not trying to contain. The artifact, they're completing a circuit. Everything they built, it's all part of the same machine, the same key in the chamber beneath the drill site. James and Kane watch as ancient machinery activates the patterns on the walls aren't decorative. They circuitry components of a device built long before humans walked the earth. And now, after millennia of silence, it's waking up Protocol 0, initiating Rivera announces. But something's wrong. The military's reality-erasing field doesn't expand as planned. Instead, it merges with the artifacts, energy creating new patterns, new frequencies. The door they thought they were closing is actually opening wider through their tactical feeds. They watch as eagles points, reality begins to tear the boundary between dimensions, stretches, tissue thin as forces, beyond human comprehension press against the veil of existence. James, their anonymous contact, sends one final message, what they found in 1945. It was just one piece, one component, the real artifact. It's the whole town, everything underneath. It's all one vast machine. And now it's fully operational. The vast underground chamber pulses with otherworldly energy as James and Kane watch Protocol 0 merge with the ancient machine's power above them. Eagles points, reality continues to fragment through their tactical feeds. They see the town's transformation streets bending in impossible ways, buildings rippling like mirages, shadows moving independent of light. They're evacuating the drill site. Rivera reports through static-filled comms. Blackwood's teams are pulling back, but the artifact, they can't disconnect it from the transport vehicle. It's merged completely in the eastern tunnels. Sarah's brother's team reports similar phenomena. The containment grid's power junction has transformed military hardware, fusing with the ancient patterns in the rock. The walls, he radios, voice shaking. They're not just moving anymore. They're changing, becoming something else. James studies the vast machine surrounding them, his tactical mind recognizing patterns within patterns. It's not random. He realizes, look at the sequence. It's building towards something like boot-up procedures in a computer, but on a scale we can't comprehend. Kane checks his tablet showing energy readings from across Eagles Point, the town's layout all these years, the streets, the buildings, they were placed according to a pattern. The whole town is part of the circuit. Through their CS, they hear Mike Parker's maintenance crews reporting similar discoveries. The utility tunnels aren't just connecting infrastructure, they're following paths laid out centuries before. The town existed, everything built above ground has been unconsciously following an ancient blueprint. James Rivera's voice cuts through increasingly distorted communications, the quantum field generators. They're not failing. They're evolving, transforming into something God. These readings don't make sense. Blackwood's voice suddenly breaks through their encrypted channels. Mitchell, you have to shut it down. The artifact. It's not just opening a door. It's changing the lock itself, rewriting the laws that separate dimensions in the chamber. James and Kane watch as the ancient patterns accelerate their transformation. The walls aren't just glowing. Now they're becoming transparent, showing glimpses of other places, other realities through their gaps. They see things that human minds weren't meant to comprehend. Sarah's team. James' commands fall back from the power junction. Mike, get your people out of those tunnels, whatever's happening. We can't stop it from there. The artifact Kane points to the chamber center where the original discovery was made. Everything leads here. This is where it started in 45. This is where we have to end it. But reaching the central platform means crossing spaces where reality itself is becoming unstable. The chamber floor ripples like liquid geometric patterns, flowing and reforming with each pulse from above. The very air seems to twist, carrying echoes of sounds that shouldn't exist in human frequency ranges. James Hanna's voice breaks through. Suddenly the hotel, something's happening to people. They're shadows. They're not matching their bodies anymore. And the children, they're starting to see things. Things that shouldn't be there. Above ground, Protocol Zero has evolved. Beyond its designer intent, the military's reality. Erasing field has merged with the ancient machine power, creating effects that defy physics. Buildings phase in and out of existence. Streets rearrange themselves and the sky above. Eagle Point shows colors that have no names in human language. It's accelerating. Rivera reports the transformation. It's spreading beyond the containment grid. If we don't stop it here, the whole world changes. Blackwood's voice finishes everything we know about reality, about existence itself. It all gets rewritten. James and Kane begin their approach to the chambers. Center moving through spaces where conventional physics no longer apply. Their tactical gear begins to change, adapting to forces. Beyond human understanding, even their own shadows seem uncertain, flickering between multiple possibilities. The original artifact, C says, as they near the platform. It wasn't just a key or a door, it was a seed planted here. Millennia ago, waiting for humanity to reach the right technological level. Everything. Since the mining operation project, Echo, even the Red Wolves, it was all guided, all part of the plan. Not our plan. James responds watching as reality continues to warp around them. We were never in control. Not in 45. Not now. They reached the central platform form just as another massive pulse rocks Eagles Point through their cals. They hear the town's transformation, accelerating the boundary between dimensions, stretches thinner with each passing second. James Rivera's voice barely breaks through the distortion. Whatever you're going to do it now. The readings, everything's going critical. The central platform thrums with otherworldly energy as James and C stand before the ancient machine's core. Reality bends around them, showing fragments of other dimensions through tier in space-time above ground. Eagles Point continues its transformation as Protocol Zero merges with forces. Beyond human comprehension, the patterns C realizes studying the shifting symbols on the platform. They're not just showing us something, they're asking us. Something offering a choice through their distorted comms. They hear the town struggle. Sarah's team reports reality breaking down in the eastern tunnels. Mike's crews describe impossible geometries replacing familiar infrastructure. The military's quantum field generators have evolved beyond control, spreading transformation rather than eraser. James Rivera's voice barely breaks through the readings. This isn't just about our world anymore. Whatever's happening, it's affecting everything. All realities, all possibilities. The platform beneath them shifts, revealing interfaces that defy human engineering surfaces, that respond to thought rather than touch, displaying options in languages that predate human civilization in 1945. C says, watching the patterns change. They made a choice without understanding. It tried to contain something that was never meant to be contained. And now we know what we're really choosing. James finishes seeing the truth displayed before them through their tactical feeds. They watch Eagles Point's transformation accelerate, buildings phase between multiple states of existence, streets reconnect, and patterns that ignore Ukian geometry and people. Their very shadows show alternate versions of themselves. Possibilities that could have been. James Hanna's voice breaks through the kids. They're starting to remember things that haven't happened, yet lives they haven't lived. It's like reality itself is offering them different paths. Blackwood's voice cuts in. Desperate, you don't understand what's at stake. This was never about one town, one artifact. It's about evolution, the next step. Humanity's chance to do what? James interrupts to remake reality in our image, to play with forces. We barely understand the chamber around them pulses with increasing power as the ancient machine presents its ultimate purpose, not just a door between dimensions, but a crossroads, a nexus point where all possibilities converge, offering humanity a choice about its own evolution. Look at the patterns. Kane points to shifting symbols. It's showing us options, different paths, different. Future's one path shows power, humanity ascending to God-like control over reality itself. Another offers understanding knowledge of the universe's deepest secrets. A third promises transformation, evolution beyond physical limitations. But James sees something else in the patterns, something the scientists in 1945 missed. Something Blackwood and his employers don't understand. They all lead to the same place. He realizes every path, every choice, they're all about control, about imposing our will on reality itself through their comms. They hear Eagle Point struggle, intensifying the towns. People aren't fighting against the transformation anymore. They're fighting for their right to choose their own path, to face whatever comes next, as themselves. Not as what some higher power decides they should be. James Rivera reports the containment grid. It's not just failing, it's revealing something. Patterns underneath everything. Like the town's been built on top of a giant circuit board, not built on it. James corrects. Understanding, finally. Dawning built by it. Everything. The town. The people. All of us. We're part of. Something bigger. Something that's been growing, evolving, leading to this moment. The platform's displays shift again, responding to his realization. The patterns change, showing a different option. One that neither Project Echo scientists nor Blackwood's employers ever considered. They thought it was about power. Kane says quietly, about controlling forces beyond our understanding. But what if that was never the point? The ancient machine pulses with new energy as James makes his choice, not controlling reality, but accepting humanity's place within it. The patterns across the chamber, walls shift, transforming from commands into conversation, from demands into dialogue. "What did you do?" Kane asks, watching as the violent energy surrounding them begins to settle. Taking on a more harmonious rhythm through their tactical feeds, they watch, eagle, points, transformation change character. The chaotic warping of reality smooths out, becoming something more natural, more integrated, building, stow-phasing between states instead, settling into forms that bridge the gap between human architecture and universal patterns. He understood. Blackwood's voice comes through their calms, a mix of awe and frustration. All these years, all our research, we were asking the wrong questions, trying to force the wrong answers. Rivera's voice breaks through. Clearer. Now the readings are stabilizing the quantum field generators. They're not trying to erase reality anymore. They're harmonizing with it above ground. The townspeople watch as their shadows settle back into natural patterns, but with a new awareness lingering at the edges of perception. The children at the hotel see possibilities not as threats, but as potential understanding. Truths that adults had forgotten how to see the town. Sarah's brother reports from the eastern tunnels. It's not breaking down anymore. It's adapting, like it's finding its natural form. James and Kane make their way back through the chamber, but the space has changed. The threatening geometries have become something else, still. Beyond human understanding, but no longer hostile to it. The ancient machine hums with a different kind of power now, more like a conversation than a command protocol. 0. Rivera updates them. It's transforming the military's equipment, the containment grid. Everything's being repurposed. Instead of erasing Eagle's Point, it's preserving it. But in a way, we never imagined through their calms they hear Blackwood arguing with his superiors. "No, you don't understand. We can't control it anymore, but that's the point. That's what it was trying to teach us all along." Hannah's voice comes through next. James. The kids. They're different now. Not changed exactly, more. Like awakened. They see things. We forgot how to see. Understand things. We taught ourselves to ignore as they reach the upper tunnels. They find M. Parker's maintenance crews, documenting the transformation. The utility systems haven't been destroyed. They've evolved, integrating human technology with something older and deeper. The Red Wolves C says quietly, watching through their feeds as his former gang members help townspeople navigate the changes they're staying helping, like they finally found what they were really looking for. Eagle's Point emerges into a new dawn, but not as the transformed wonderland Blackwood's employers wanted, nor as the erased blank slate Protocol 0 was meant to create. Instead, it's become something unprecedented, a place where human understanding and universal truth have learned to coexist, the artifact. Rivera reports studying final readings. It's not just one thing anymore. It's everywhere. Part of everything, but not controlling. Connecting the military units withdraw their reality, erasing weapons transformed into tools of preservation. The quantum field generators remain, but now they maintain harmony rather than impose change. Even the shadowy agencies behind Protocol Zero are forced to accept that some forces can't be controlled, only understood. James makes his way to Hannah's hotel, where the children greet him with eyes that see more clearly than ever before. They don't show fear at their expanded awareness, only wonder and a deep understanding of their place in a much larger reality. What happens now? Hannah asks, watching as Eagles Point settles into its new existence. We learn James answers, seeing how the town has become something unique, not a conquered territory or a transformed wonderland, but a bridge between what humanity is and what it could become. We grow. We remember how to see the ancient machine beneath the town continues its work, but not as its discoverers in 1945 imagined. Instead of reshaping reality, it teaches humanity how to be part of it. Instead of granting power, it offers perspective. Eagles Point becomes something unprecedented, not a transformed wonderland or an erased secret, but a place where human understanding and universal truth have learned to coexist, a testament not to humanity's power over reality, but to its potential to be part of something far greater than itself. Some transformations don't change what you are. They reveal what you've always been meant to be, and some choices don't reshape reality. They help you find your true place within it. 3 months after the night that changed everything, Eagles Point has become something unique in the world. The morning sun casts familiar shadows across streets that now follow subtle patterns, buildings that bridge the gap between human architecture and universal design. The town hasn't transformed into an alien wonderland. Instead, it's become more itself than ever before. James Mitchell stands at the edge of the park where everything began, watching children play on equipment that seems normal at first glance but moves with impossible. Grace, his sister Hannah, teaches nearby her classroom. Now a place where expanded awareness and traditional education flow together naturally. Still hard to believe, Detective Rivera says joining him, her police work has evolved too. Dealing with a community that sees more clearly means justice has become about harmony rather than forced 3 months, and the world still hasn't quite figured out what to make of us. They watch as former Red Wolves members help maintain the park's new features. Kane, no longer leading through intimidation, has found a different kind of strength in helping others understand their place in a larger reality. His men have transformed from threats into guides, helping visitors navigate a town that operates on deeper principles than simple physics. Blackwood superiors are still trying to understand what happened. Rivera continues checking her phone. Their instruments show things that should be impossible, but it all works. The town just functions on a different level now. Through the park walks Mike Parker his maintenance duties now, including the care of systems that merge human technology with universal patterns. The utility tunnels haven't just been repaired, they've become conduits for energies that keep Eagles Point in harmony with larger forces. The children adapt the fastest. Hannah says, joining them during her break, they see it all so clearly. The patterns, the connection, the way everything flows together. They're teaching us as much as we teach them. Sarah Chen's hardware store has become a nexus point where practical tools meet higher understanding. Her brother leads tours through the transformed mining tunnels, helping people comprehend how human industry and universal design can coexist. The containment grid Rivera checks her readings. It's still active, but not like they intended. Instead of aiding Eagle's Point, it helps maintain the balance, keeps us connected to everything else without being overwhelmed by it. James watches as Kane approaches a group of tourists, explaining how the town's transformation taught him what real strength means. The Red Wolves clubhouse has become a welcome center, helping visitors understand that Eagles Point isn't a place where reality broke. It's where humanity learned to see it more completely. Other agencies still come. Rivera notes scientists, military intelligence services. They all want to understand how we did it, how we made it work. But that's what they don't get. James responds, "We didn't make it work. We learned to work with it to be part of it, instead of trying to control it." The ancient machine beneath the town continues its gentle hum, no longer a threat or a weapon, but a teacher. The artifact's influence hasn't transformed Eagles Point into something alien. It's helped the town become more authentically itself. Hannah's students release from class, their shadows sometimes suggesting other possibilities, but no longer in frightening ways. They've learned to see reality's deeper patterns, as natural as breathing. Understanding truths that humanity once forgot, how to recognize the quantum field generators. Rivera checks her instruments. They're still evolved every day. They show us something new about how reality really works, not by changing it, but by helping us see what was always there. Protocol Zero's infrastructure remains, but transformed the military's reality. Erasing weapons have become tools of preservation, maintaining the delicate balance between human understanding and universal truth. Even the shadowy agencies that once sought to control Eagles Point now study it with different eyes. It's not just our town anymore, Hannah observes, watching families enjoy the park. It's become something else. A reminder of what's possible when we stop trying to force reality to match our expectations. James nods, seeing how Eagles Point has become a bridge not just between dimensions or possibilities, but between what humanity is and what it could be. The town hasn't been transformed into something unrecognizable. Instead, it's become more real than anywhere else on Earth. The sun sets over Eagles Point, casting shadows that sometimes suggest other possibilities, but no longer in threatening ways. The town has found its place in a larger reality, not by changing what it is, but by remembering what it was always meant to be. Some transformations don't end the story. They reveal what the story was always about. And sometimes the greatest discovery isn't finding something new, but learning. Learning to see what was always there. Eagles Point stands as testament not to humanity's power over reality, but to its potential to be part of something far greater than itself, a reminder that some questions don't need answers. They need understanding, and some doors once opened with wisdom instead of force lead not to other places, but to deeper truths about where we've always been up next. You've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen if this one hit the mark. You won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.